evening and welcome. My name is Lord Bryon Lee. I'm your host for the evening. Now before the movie starts, I'd like to give you a little heads up on what it's all about. As usual, it involves a protagonist, a normal 19-year-old boy, born in the ends, not a criminal, a fun-loving, law-abiding, strong-headed individual. Like all 19-year-olds, he liked to attend the odd shubs, listen to his iPod and play his Nintendo Wii. Unlike many boys, he was both close to his mother and his father. They adored each other alike. His father was a construction manager based in Wandsworth, did an odd bit of gambling. His mother worked for Croydon Council. Now both parents loved their child unconditionally and steered him away from the street life as much as two working parents possibly could. His childhood was as normal as any childhood could possibly be. What they didn't know but would later find out was there was a little bit more to the boy than meets the eye. You see, the boy held a rare gift, a strange and engaging power he didn't even know he had. But that was all about to change. You see, the revelation, funnily enough, takes place all on a single night bus. On his way back from a rave in Muswell Hill, North London, a strange twist comes into play. I'd like to introduce you all to a good friend of mine by the name of Marcus. Marcus Constantine. Ah, yes. The night air froze her toes within his nightcare. It was cold and unusually creepy. Not a sound could be heard. It's amazing how after a rave everybody seems to go their separate ways pretty quickly. It all happened so fast. And what once had been a buzzing metropolis full of loose gash, drunken brares and stone-faced security seemed much more like a ghost town. The doors to the rave had been locked so tightly the entire club looked more like a boarded-up church. There was nothing but old newspapers blowing in the wind. All the boys he rode with had gone their separate ways. You see, they all lived in different ends, so they all took different routes to get home. Marcus was the last man standing. There he was, left by the bus stop, waiting for a night bus. One eye on the road, one eye on his phone. Even he noticed how quiet it was. Blood, there wasn't a single soul in sight. You see, he had to check his phone to reassure himself he did actually chirp Gash tonight, and he was in a rave because everything around him seemed so derelict, seemed so dead. He waits some more. Finally he sees a bus coming. He can't make out his actual number or its destination, but he flags it down nonetheless, as he knows any bus going down the hill is ideal, or so he thought. It doesn't matter what the number is. Just to make sure it's going the right way, he had a quick word with the bus driver. Yes, boss, what, you going down the hill, yeah?
Of course I am, but you're a bit young now, aren't you, mate?
You've been drinking. What are you talking about? Taking a bus, got
No,
nothing to do
you're a
with
bit
age.
young. I'm not sure if we've got any space.
Mate, the bus is empty. What, are you crazy?
Do you know what kind of bus this is?
You're taking a piss. Look, that's my pass. I'm going upstairs.
Go ahead, I don't need your pass. We already know who you are.
What? What do you say?
Nothing. You go up there.
Can you at least put the lights on upstairs?
Of course I can, but you've got to sit on the far right third from the back.
Third row from what? Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah. He's nuts, man. He's nuts. As Marcus boarded the bus, something didn't feel right. For one, the lights up top were off. He marched up the stairs. After a few steps, he started to hear voices. As he got closer to the top, he could hear shouting, loud laughing, a huge amount of activity. He could almost have sworn he couldn't hear anything before. After all, the lights upstairs, they were off. That means the bus is usually out of service. He reached the top of the stairs. Everyone stopped talking and turned their necks and looked directly at him. Marcus tried to pay no attention. He looked around and found there was only 2 seats available. One on the far right, third from the back. The other on the far left, third from the front. Just before he sits down, he finds, by the looks of things, an old Metro newspaper lying on the chair. Not in the mood to read about celebrity gossip. He places it on his lap and tries to fall asleep, putting his head down and closing his eyes. The minute he sits down, everyone resumes talking loudly and making noise, very much as they did before he made his way to the top step. He tries not to listen, but as he hears a conversation, it gets louder and louder, just a few rows behind him.
And why are you here?
Why am I here? Blood, my wife cheated. What do you mean why I'm here?
Yeah, she cheated, but how did you die?
Look, man, I caught her in a room with one other guy and all sparks started to fly.
What are you saying? You got licked down by your cheating wife?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know how it is, right?
She shot you and you caught her cheating.
Well, I was drinking that night, you
You're a
know.
waste man about you drinking.
Marcus says a small prayer, hoping his stop comes soon, and crosses his arms. He glances for a second at his watch, and notices the hands of the clock seem to be spinning uncontrollably backwards. In shock, he slams his hand over the watch face and holds it there. Slowly, he pulls his hand away from the watch face. Just before he gets a second to look, the bus pulls up erratically at its next stop. He looks out the window and sees no one board the bus and wonders why the bus stopped in the first place. To his surprise, he hears some very loud footsteps making their way up the stairs.
Blood, you're in my seat.
Well, can't you see there's other seats on the bus, cuz?
Blood, I'm not going to tell you again, you're in my seat.
How can I be in your seat? There's no names on these seats.
Alright, maybe you're right, I'll just sit behind.
Alright, cool.
Hey, don't I know you?
Who, me? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I know you. What's your name?
Marcus.
Scene. Marcus what?
Marcus Constantine.
Nice to meet you, Marcus. My name is Josephiah. Josephiah Yahweh.
Now, Yahweh had enormously long dreads. He wore a crisp, tailored white suit and sat directly behind Marcus. There was something about this man's presence. It was almost as if he had this all-seeing power and knowledge. Marcus had his back turned to him, but could feel his aura. The man's breath was completely odorless, but he could still feel the cool spirit blowing against his neck back. He was aware of who this man was, he just couldn't put his finger on who he was. Yahweh began talking to him.